Episode 56, JQ, October 9, 2023. Alabama wood pellet mill seeks millions in climate funds, but critics say it won't cut CO2. RAWSEP View. In this episode 56 JQ, 1, an October 8, 2023 article from Alabama, AL.com, 2, an October 7, 2023 article from Washington State's Multnomah County, MLTnews.com, and 3, an October 1, 2023 article from Oregon, from the Oregonian, all re-explained the political but scientifically debunked argument of carbon neutrality justifying not counting wood-burning PM2.5 emissions as polluting and harmful to human health and not counting wood-burning PM2.5 and CO2 emissions as contributing to climate change. 1. Excerpts the Alabama article regarding carbon neutrality of wood burning. 1. Presenting the argument for carbon neutrality, the article states, the U.S. Energy Information Agency says that biomass can be carbon neutral because burning the trees releases basically the same amount of carbon that tree captured during its lifetime. When fossil fuels like coal are burned for energy, they release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere that's been sequestered in the ground for millions of years, thereby adding to the total concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere. Wood pellets only release carbon that has been sequestered over the last few decades and would eventually return to the atmosphere as the tree died and decomposed. Despite the growing criticism of biomass energy, the EU voted last year to keep counting biomass as a carbon-neutral energy source, as many of its member states scramble to meet clean energy goals and/or divest from fossil fuels coming from Russia. 2. Excerpts the Washington State article regarding carbon neutrality of wood burning. The Washington State article sidesteps and does not address the issue of carbon neutrality but does accept that if only certain wood stove standards are enforced by the EPA in a timely manner, the 10-attorney lawsuit against the EPA will be satisfied. Oregon law requires the removal and destruction of uncertified wood stoves and fireplace inserts when a home is sold. If a stove or insert is certified by the EPA to meet wood smoke emission standards, it can remain in the home, but that certification may mean little, given the allegations in the lawsuit. So the lawsuit as described in the Washington State article is satisfied with continued wood burning for residential heat, even though scientists object to the categorization of wood burning as carbon neutral, and indeed increasing research studies show that wood burning PM2.5 causes cancers, asthma, and unnecessary early deaths of at least wood burners and their near neighbors, as shown by the readings of PM2.5 monitors of near neighbors of indoor residential wood burners. 3. Excerpts the Oregon article regarding carbon neutrality of wood burning, like the Washington State article, so not go into the arguments for carbon neutrality of wood burning, but accept that wood stove certification, if only done on schedule, can make wood burning safe and acceptable for residential home heating. The states point to a provision in the Federal Clean Air Act that calls for EPA at least every 8 years to revisit and, if appropriate, revise the standards. EPA last finalized an update to its wood heater rules in 2015. Not only is EPA delinquent in pursuing new standards, it is likely that many wood stoves have been sold that do not meet the 2015 standards, because EPA has allowed manufacturers to sell stoves without adequate testing to see if they comply, said a release from the Oregon State Attorney General's office. The states also point to EPA statements that the agency does not plan to issue new rules until November 2027. EPA declined to comment on the case and has not filed a response in court. EPA's last update to its wood stove rules came in response to a 2013 lawsuit brought by states. RAWSEP believes the 10-attorney lawsuit against the EPA does not go far enough and does not address the effect on human health of indoor residential wood burning. Rather than certification of wood-burning stoves, money and subsidies from the EPA should be directed to replacement of indoor residential wood stoves with heat pumps that work at temperatures down to 40 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit, connected to an electric grid that extends to all rural areas and powered by the true clean energy sources of wind, solar, and geothermal. Wood burning emits more PM2.5 and CO2 than coal burning. Wood burning emits 450 times the PM2.5 as natural gas burning. PM2.5 is particulate matter of 2.5 micrometer size, the perfect size to infiltrate the human lung, setting off a cascade of human health problems and early deaths. PurpleAir $249 PM2.5 monitors are already on U.S. AirNow maps of smoke and fire alongside EPA $100,000 PM2.5 monitors, with PurpleAir PM2.5 monitors correlated with EPA PM2.5 monitors with a simple mathematical formula, which informed United States citizens of the air quality in their areas, showing where it was safe to exercise outside or where it was safer to stay indoors in a sealed house to avoid breathing in the harmful PM2.5 pollution. PurpleAir PM2.5 monitors should be handed out to any near neighbor of an indoor residential wood burner who complains that wood smoke emissions of PM2.5 invade the near neighbor's yard. Laws should be put in place to use data from PM2.5 monitors to shut down polluting indoor wood stoves whose emissions reach neighbors' yards that exceed National Ambient Air Quality Standards, NOx, whose limit in 2023 is 35 micrograms per cubic meter. This would eliminate the need to certify wood stoves, since this will be a fair, scientific way to measure pollution and justify shutdown of wood stoves as polluting. This will also eliminate ambiguous methods of measuring pollution from wood stove emissions, such as taking snapshots of emissions from stacks, and then taking a guess that the emissions are 20% or more. Near neighbors taking snapshots of smoke opacity at stacks also doesn't work at night, during foggy conditions, and under many other circumstances, to serve as reliable evidence of pollution levels. RAWSEP View of arguments against the carbon neutrality of wood burning, also taken from the 3 articles below. B1, in the article about Alabama. Presenting the scientific studies that contradict the political theory of carbon neutrality, however, studies have shown that burning wood for energy, because it requires much greater amounts than coal, actually releases more CO2 into the air than burning coal to generate the same amount of energy. In addition, a study conducted by the European Union's Joint Research Centre found that for most types of biomass energy it would take more than a century, or would be outright impossible, to recapture the amount of carbon emitted by burning the trees, said the European Academy's Science Advisory Council concluded based on that study. In 2021, a group of 500 scientists co-signed a letter to leaders in the US, EU, Japan, and South Korea, urging the leaders of those countries to end biomass subsidies. Some countries such as Australia, the Netherlands, and the US state of Massachusetts have revoked or put severe restrictions on their biomass energy subsidies. A number of scientific studies have found that burning wood for energy actually emits more carbon dioxide than the coal-fired power plants they are replacing and would take a century or more to result in a carbon decrease. Last week, a collaboration of 25 environmental groups sent a letter to U.S. Secretary of Energy Jennifer Granholm, urging the department to reject Enviva's request and exclude pellet mills from the program. The tax credit is intended to be used for an energy transition away from polluting energy, the letter said. We must not divert its limited funding towards projects that continue to perpetuate harms to the climate and communities on par with fossil fuel combustion. Neither Enviva nor the Department of Energy responded to requests for comment on the letter. The letter was signed by a coalition of environmental groups including Friends of the Earth, the Natural Resources Defense Council, the National Wildlife Federation, Earth Justice, the Southern Environmental Law Center, and Save Chandler Mountain 501c3. The Southern Environmental Law Center told AL.com via email that these pellet mills will harm Alabama communities. B2, in the article from Washington State, from the article nationwide, about 8%, or 485,077 tons known as PM2.5 came from residential wood heating in 2020, according to EPA statistics. Ecology estimates that year residential wood stoves in Washington produced 14,000 tons of PM2.5 emissions, about 15% of the state total. B3, from the article from Oregon, a February report from the EPA's Office of Inspector General described the federal residential wood stove standards as ineffective and said the program puts human health and the environment at risk for exposure to dangerous fine particulate matter pollution by allowing sales of wood heaters that may not meet emission standards. Episode 56JQ also contains excerpts from 4, a sister study showing indoor wood burning causes increased breast cancer in women, and 5, excerpts from the Council on Environmental Quality, CEQ, Environmental Justice October 6, 2023 Connector emailed newsletter. Alabama. RAWSEP View, giving tax credits to wood pellet factories and biomass, wood burning plants, because wood burning is viewed as renewable and carbon neutral by the United States Department of Energy, DOE, leads to the DOE's offer of a tax credit called the Advanced Energy Project Credit, meant to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and promote renewable energy. Carbon neutrality as a political theory is contradicted by scientists. The article below is about the Enviva wood pellet facility in Alabama applying for climate funds. RAWSEP View. 3. What subsidies for wood burning are offered by countries around the world, outside the United States? The recent EU vote and continuing subsidies in countries like South Korea, Japan, and the United States has companies like Enviva and UK-based Drax opening new pellet mills across the Southeast, including Alabama. Drax recently opened its second pellet mill in Alabama, a $100 million facility in Demopolis, in Marengo County. The other Drax mill in Alabama is in Aliceville, in Pickens County. In Enviva's latest quarterly report to investors, the company forecast strong growth in Europe and said it had shipped 2 test shipments to Poland, a potential new customer. Poland has one of the highest per capita rates of coal usage in the EU, and historically has been very dependent on Russian fossil fuels, the company said. The wood pellet market in Alabama and the Southeast has exploded in recent years, largely due to subsidies offered in the European Union and some Asian countries that count wood pellets or biomass as renewable energy like solar or wind. By one estimate, European countries spend €16 billion, $17 billion, of taxpayer funds per year on subsidies for wood-burning biomass energy to replace fossil fuels. Alabama wood pellet mill seeks millions in climate funds, but critics say won't cut CO2. AL.com. Additionally, burning trees for power emits more climate-warming carbon than burning fossil fuels like coal. The tax credit. The advanced energy tax, the world's largest wood pellet producer, has applied for a major clean energy tax credit for building a new plant in Epes, Alabama, but critics say burning wood pellets for energy won't reduce the greenhouse gases that drive climate change. Skip to article. Alabama wood pellet mill seeks millions in climate funds, but critics say won't cut CO2. October 8, 2023. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity and relationship to Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates Corporation, a nonprofit. Alabama Governor Kay Ivey gave remarks at the groundbreaking for an Enviva wood pellet plant Wednesday, June 28, 2023, in Epes, Alabama. The world's largest wood pellet producer has applied for a major clean energy tax credit for building a new plant in Epes, Alabama, but critics say burning wood pellets for energy won't reduce the greenhouse gases that drive climate change. Enviva, which is currently constructing what will be its largest pellet mill to date in Sumter County, recently told investors in an earnings call that it has applied for tax credits under the Department of Energy's Advanced Energy Project Credit, meant to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and promote renewable energy. Wood pellet facilities create large amounts of air pollution and dust that can cause increased rates of asthma and heart disease in nearby communities. Additionally, burning trees for power emits more climate-warming carbon than burning fossil fuels like coal. The tax credit. The Advanced Energy Tax Credit has been around for years but received a $10 billion boost last year thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act, championed by President Joe Biden. Under the program, qualifying facilities can apply for a tax credit of up to 30% of the construction of qualifying facilities. Enviva has said it expects to invest $375 million in the Alabama facility, meaning it could potentially seek as much as $112 million in tax credits. The Epes facility would be Enviva's largest to date, but the Enviva plans to build a similar-sized facility in Mississippi, for which it is also seeking the tax credit. Similar pellet mills in North Carolina and elsewhere throughout the South have resulted in complaints of high levels of air pollution. Enviva expects its Epes plant in Alabama to open next year and reach full production by 2025. The plant is expected to create around 100 direct jobs. Washington, Multnomah County. RAWSEP View. Near the end of this article about Washington State joining 9 other attorney generals to do the EPA over wood stove certification, there is a comparison of Washington State percentage of PM2.5 air pollution from indoor residential wood stove use in comparison to the United States national percentage of PM2.5 air pollution from indoor residential wood stove use. The article also refers to Multnomah County and Washington's programs for exchanging wood stoves for heat pumps, stating several counties in Oregon, including Multnomah and Washington, have wood stove exchange programs. In Multnomah County, residents receive financial incentives to exchange wood-burning devices for electric heat pumps, which, heat pumps, aren't harmful to human health. RAWSEP View. Puget Sound in Washington State also has programs designed to exchange wood stoves for cleaner heating sources. From the article, Puget Sound Clean Air Agencies is getting ready to launch a program where they'll give people $500 to scrap older wood stoves that don't meet modern emissions requirements. RAWSEP is fearful that the replacement for those scrapped wood stoves will not be the cleanest home heating appliances, heat pumps, since the replacement appliance is not stated in the article. However, the Puget Sound director is quotes in the article show she is aware of the adverse health effects of wood smoke. From the article, research has linked it to problems like heart disease, lung cancer, and respiratory irritation. The Puget Sound director has prioritized wood stoves as a major contributor to fine particle pollution. It is a main source, she said. Especially during the winter months. A strategic plan Puget Sound Clean Air Agency released in January says that in some areas of the state during winter, wood smoke accounts for more than half of fine particle air pollution. The Puget Sound director noted Darrington, Marysville, and the south end of Tacoma as 3 places in her agency's jurisdiction where wood smoke and PM2.5 pollution can be bad in winter. Washington, Multnomah County, Washington among states suing feds to force update of wood stove standards. MLTnews.com. The federal government is failing to meet its obligations in setting pollution standards for residential wood-burning stoves, hurting air quality. The federal government is failing to meet its obligations in setting pollution standards for residential wood-burning stoves, hurting air quality in parts of the U.S., according to a lawsuit Washington and 9 other states have filed against the Environmental Protection Agency. Washington among states suing feds to force update of wood stove standards. October 7, 2023. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity and relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates Corporation, a nonprofit. RAWSEP View, kicking the can down the road and continuing to certify any wood stove as safe for indoor residential heating is not the answer to PM2.5 air pollution. The state of Washington. Replacing indoor residential wood burners with electric clean energy heat pumps that work at temperatures down to 40 degrees below zero are the answer. This lawsuit asks for kicking the can down the road on schedule every 8 years, which is not an answer to ending or reducing air pollution that harms human health and hastens climate change. Just don't burn solid fuels such as wood and coal. Wood burning emits more PM2.5 and CO2 than coal burning, and wood burning emits 450 times the PM2.5 than natural gas burning, even from correctly certified wood stoves in the United States and even from eco-design wood stoves in the United Kingdom. Wood smoke is 90% PM2.5, particulate matter of 2.5 micrometer size, the perfect size to infiltrate the human lung, setting off a cascade of human health problems and early deaths. From the article with the lawsuit, the states are trying to prod EPA into reviewing and revising pollution rules for wood stoves in homes. The Puget Sound Clean Air Agency, which enforces air quality regulations in the Seattle area and surrounding counties, has also signed on. The current case was filed on September 21, 2023, in U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, Oregon. RAWSEP View. The sentence in this article that sticks out to RAWSEP is that the newer, indoor residential wood stove models do not meaningfully reduce emissions or improve air quality. RAWSEP believes that heating residences with wood stoves is not safe, because even certified U.S. wood stoves and eco-design wood stoves emit 450 times the particulates as natural gas furnaces, and wood burning emits more PM2.5 and CO2 than coal burning. Exchanges of indoor residential wood burners with clean heat pumps that work at temperatures down to 40 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit are mentioned in this article. Oregon Attorney General's Office joins lawsuit against the EPA over wood-burning stove standards. https://www.benbulletin.com/local-state/environment/Oregon Attorney General's Office joins lawsuit against the EPA over wood-burning stove standards /article_DECDFDBBBHTML FBC The Oregonian. October 1, 2023. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity and relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates Corporation, a nonprofit. 10 attorneys general, including Oregon's Ellen Rosenblum, have sued the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, saying the federal agency has failed to update its standards for residential wood-burning stove emissions, leading to continued pollution and health risks. The complaint, filed late last week, alleges both that the federal agency's current standards aren't good enough and that the agency's wood stove testing and certification program fails to ensure that new wood-burning stoves comply with the emission limits. That report said the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, a federal agency, had distributed $82 million in grants for residential wood stove exchanges between 2015 and 2021. But the lack of both updated emission standards and proper testing means that these grants, and the state and local programs that encourage people to exchange old, dirty stoves for newer wood heaters, are essentially useless because the newer models do not meaningfully reduce emissions or improve air quality, according to the complaint. The sister study, Wood Burning and Women's Lung Cancer. RAWSEP View. The statement in the article below that stands out for RAWSEP is one conclusion. In the sister study, gas or propane heating in stoves and fireplaces was also associated with an increased lung cancer risk, but this was far smaller than that from wood burning. An earlier report from the sister study concluded that air pollution from indoor wood burning was also a widespread and potentially modifiable risk factor for breast cancer. Indoor wood burning raises women's lung cancer risk by 43%, says U.S. study The Guardian. For example, people who used their wood burner on more than 30 days a year had a 68% increased lung cancer risk compared with people who did not burn. Wood smoke, from using wood-burning appliances indoors, may contain toxic substances. Indoor wood burning raises women's lung cancer risk by 43%, says U.S. study. Results from study involving 50,000 women suggest even occasional wood burning can contribute to lung cancer. October 6, 2023. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity and relationship to Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates Corporation, a nonprofit. Using an indoor wood stove or fireplace increases women's risk of developing lung cancer by 43% compared with those that do not use wood heating, according to a U.S. study. In the UK, 1 in 13 men and 1 in 15 women born after 1960 are expected to be diagnosed with lung cancer during their lifetimes. In the U.S., it is 1 in 16 men and 1 in 17 women. The U.S. study found that more frequent use of indoor wood heating led to greater risk. For example, people who used their wood burner on more than 30 days a year had a 68% increased lung cancer risk compared with people who did not burn wood. The results come from the sister study, which tracks the health of 50,000 U.S. women who had sisters with breast cancer. Dr. Suril Mehta, from the U.S. National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences and first author of the new study, said, "The sister study was designed to better understand genetic and environmental risk factors for breast cancer, but it is also equipped to evaluate other health outcomes in women." Lung cancer is the leading cause of cancer-related death among U.S. women. It accounts for roughly 1 in 5 cancer-related deaths in the U.S. In the UK, only 4% of homes that use solid fuel rely on it as their only heating source. Professor Faye Johnston, from the Menzies Institute for Medical Research, Tasmania, who was not involved in the U.S. research, said, "The new results from the sister study provide strong evidence of the risk of living in homes heated by wood combustion. Even relatively low usage was associated with an increased risk of lung cancer." She added, "The message for policymakers and the public is clear. Wood heater smoke is not safe." In October 2006, the International Agency for Research on Cancer classified wood smoke as probably carcinogenic to humans. Though far smaller than the sister study and using a different methodology. An international study from 2010 found increased lung cancer risk in people that used wood and coal heating compared with those that did not. The Council on Environmental Quality, CEQ, Environmental Justice Connector. October 6, 2023. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity and relationship to Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates Corporation, a nonprofit. Members of the public submitting a written comment to the White House Council on Environmental Quality WEJAC may do so by Tuesday, October 10. In September, grassroots organizers working to expand green jobs in communities like Watts and Riverside, California, and young women from South America and Africa were trailblazing. This environmental justice (EJ) connector spotlights folks across our country are making environmental justice a reality, in practice. If you feel your colleagues, friends, or family might benefit from receiving our EJ connector, encourage them to sign up. Please contact our team via email at ej@ceq.eop.gov. Dr. Jalan L. White-Newsome, Federal Chief Environmental Justice Officer, White House Council on Environmental Quality, WEJAC. Fact sheet: White House releases new technical assistance resources to help communities unlock opportunities from President Biden's Investing in America agenda on September 13. The updated Technical Assistance Guide builds on the Bipartisan Infrastructure Laws Guidebook, Rural Playbook, and the Inflation Reduction Act's Guidebook. The guide covers more than 150 programs encompassing well over $1 billion in federal support. In addition to federal programs, the guide also highlights over a dozen new commitments from states. Fact sheet: Biden-Harris administration launches American Climate Corps to train young people in clean energy, conservation, and climate resilience skills, create good-paying jobs, and tackle the climate crisis that help meet the administration's Justice 40 goal. President Biden is calling on nonprofit service allies to collaborate with the federal government to expand the climate goals workforce. Join the American Climate Corps. Fact sheet: New actions to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and combat the climate crisis. On September 21, the President has approved recommendations from the Interagency Working Group on the expanded use of the social cost of greenhouse gases, SCGHG, for budgeting, procurement, and agency decisions, reaffirming its use for environmental reviews where appropriate. By facilitating comparison of the climate consequences of alternative options in certain agency decisions, appropriate use of metrics for the social cost of greenhouse gases can help agencies bolster the federal government's efforts to combat the climate crisis, further protect communities, and save hardworking families money. KSME 5, CC6, Fact Sheet. Biden-Harris administration hosts first-ever White House Climate Resilience Summit and releases National Climate Resilience Framework. On September 28, President Biden hosted the first-ever White House Summit on building climate-resilient communities. This summit, which included representatives from more than 25 states, recognizes the importance of locally tailored, community-driven strategies. In conjunction with the summit, the administration released the National Climate Resilience Framework, a vision for a climate-resilient nation designed to guide and align climate resilience investments and activities by the federal government and its partners. Additionally, the administration announced over a dozen new actions, including the awarding or availability of more than $500 million in dedicated funding to help build a climate-resilient nation. Many of the investments in climate resilience discussed in this framework are just as 40 covered programs. Fact Sheet. As part of the Investing in America tour, White House Council on Environmental Quality Chair Brenda Mallory will travel to Louisiana and North Carolina to highlight how President Biden's Investing in America agenda is advancing environmental justice and delivering on the Justice 40 initiative, which is working to ensure that 40% of the overall benefits of federal climate, clean energy, and other investments flow to disadvantaged communities that are overburdened by pollution. The Biden-Harris administration is launching the American Climate Corps, mobilizing more than 20,000 young Americans to work on the front lines of conservation, clean energy, and climate resilience. Learn more at http://whitehouse.gov/climatecorps. At Brenda Mallory 46 announced the Biden-Harris administration's first actions under new permitting efficiencies to accelerate American manufacturing and our clean energy future. Provide feedback on Phase 1 of the Environmental Justice Scorecard by taking the survey or emailing ejscorecard-support@omb.eop.gov. Provide feedback on version 1.0 of the Climate and Economic Justice Screening Tool, CJST. CEQ is working to update the tool, and we greatly value public feedback. The tool's website has multiple ways to offer feedback on the tool. You can find census tracts that you are familiar with and send feedback about those tracts. Click the yellow Send Feedback button in the side panel of any tract. That feedback is used to inform future versions of the tool. We are especially interested in any information that may help to better reflect the realities for particular communities or census tracts. EPA Region 7 Midwest EPA and state regulators outline Region 7 regulatory priorities at environmental conferences. JD Supra. Compliance with the PM2.5 standard, EPA proposed lowering the PM2.5 standard earlier this year. State agency representatives confirmed that areas EPA Region 7 protects human health and the environment in our nation's heartland. Our ecosystems are numerous and the range is broad, encompassing the sandhills of Nebraska, Flint Hills of Kansas, winding Missouri and Mississippi rivers, prairies and plains of Iowa, and forests and delta of Missouri, not to mention all of the rich agricultural lands throughout our region. Alaska BLM to burn debris piles on military land in interior, KTVF burning piles of wood. October 7, 2023. Fairbanks, Alaska, KTVF, starting October 8, the Bureau and Land Management, BLM, with U.S. Army Garrison Alaska will start burning piles of wood in the interior. The debris was gathered over the last few years to reduce fuel for wildfires at multiple sites on Fort Wainwright and Fort Greely, and on Eielson Air Force Base. Because of these locations, the smoke may not be seen by the passing public. If smoke becomes visible outside base, the public is advised not to worry, as there are firefighters on scene. The effort could last until October 31st. A spokesperson with the BLM Alaska Fire Service said if the wind is blowing the wrong way, it blows the smoke into the community. We take it day by day. We talk with the National Weather Service. We also coordinate with the Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation, DEP. Arizona, Salt River landfill fire smoldering extinguished. AZ Central Arizona Department of Environmental Quality Communications Director Caroline Oppelman told the Arizona Republic on Wednesday that none of the PM2.5 Arizona. Do you smell something? East Valley landfill fire still smoking. 12 News wood, leaves and grass were being stored. Plumes of smoke could be seen for miles. Fortunately, no injuries were reported. That's because a landfill fire that started on Saturday is still smoldering, according to the latest Arizona Department of Environmental Quality air quality forecast. Crews are still working to snuff out multiple smoking piles, but are reportedly in the final stages of extinguishing the fire. Colorado, Boulder Hall Ranch, closed Tuesday, October 10th, for prescribed burn if conditions allow. Boulder County, smoke from prescribed fires may affect your health. The Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment would Smoke and Health webpage and the Colorado Dale Fire Managers to burn up to 1,200 acres near Edwards and Avon. DaleDaily.com prescribed fire smoke may affect your health. For more information, go to https://www.colorado.gov/pacific/cdph/wood-smoke-and-health. Support Massachusetts. Harvard University study unveils the cities with the most and fewest good air days. City Monitor. A study from Harvard University has unearthed a harsh reality, attributing 1 in 5 excess deaths globally to fine particulate matter, PM2.5. Nevada, Reno, North Tahoe, Meeks Bay Fire Protection Districts to lift burn restrictions. KTVN burn permits may resume residential burning on permissible burn days. Homeowners will also be permitted to use properly screened wood burning. Some burn bans lifted around Lake Tahoe. South Tahoe now. South Lake Tahoe will allow solo stoves and charcoal fires starting Monday, but no fires or fire pits with wood or other solid fuel due to city Nevada burning restrictions lift October 9th in North Tahoe Fire. Meeks Bay Fire Protection District. Sierra Sun. The outdoor burning of wood and charcoal is never permitted at short-term rentals. Those possessing current and valid residential burn permits may. Oregon, Klamath County wood stove air quality season set to begin. Klamath alerts the changes make the ordinance simple to understand with only 3 burning-related options: burning allowed, exempt wood burning devices only, and no individuals with approved exemptions may use their wood burning heat source inside the air quality zone. Burning allowed, exempt wood-burning devices. New Zealand world first, scientists to map carbon profile of every NZ city and town. NZ Herald. Wood burning is good from a climate perspective, because it is wood for heating. There is also much more to learn about our urban carbon. Scientists have begun mapping our urban carbon footprint in a multi-million-dollar project to make New Zealand the first country with real-time emissions data for every town and city. South Africa. Richards Bay fire contained at wood chip factory. YouTube. Calm weather welcome as firefighting continues in Richards Bay. Zululand Observer. The citizen would smoke towards the suburb of Arboretum. Fortunately, NCT's wood chip operations do not involve any toxic chemical elements, so the smoke remains. South Africa. NCT fire. Richards Bay residents concerned about smoke. YouTube. The fire that engulfed a wood chip factory in Richards Bay is almost completely extinguished. NCT Wood Chip Mill says it's now focusing on cleanup. India, Delhi. NCR air quality likely to enter poor category soon, temperature to drop drastically next week. DNA India. The PM2.5 is forecast to reach 186 and the PM10 is anticipated to reach 177 on Sunday, both in the moderate range, according to SAFAR. Delhi, air quality likely to dip to poor category. DigiWorld.com. The PM2.5 is going to reach 186 while PM10 is expected to reach 177, both in moderate category. The SAFAR further stated that after 2 days, PM2.5 Singapore PSI hits unhealthy range in Singapore for first time since 2019. Government task force convenes the Straits Times. PM2.5 used to plan immediate outdoor activities. 1 hour PM2.5 reading, G/M3, health advisory from NEA. Haze situation update, October 7, 2023, weather.gov.sg. Singapore, October 7, 2023, it has been slightly hazy in Singapore today. As at 5 p.m., the 1 hour PM2.5 concentration readings were 30 to 94 micrograms per cubic meter. Singapore haze situation update, October 7, 2023, NEA air quality forecast. Air quality readings, as of 5 p.m. October 7, 2023. For deciding on immediate outdoor activities. 1 hour PM2.5 Singapore, October 7, 2023, it has been slightly hazy in Singapore today. As at 5 p.m., the 1 hour PM2.5 concentration readings were 30 to 94 micrograms per cubic meter, in band I, band 2, normal to elevated, and the 24-hour PSI was 66 to 120, in the high end of the moderate range to low end of the unhealthy range. PM2.5 and allergies study highlights effects of fine particulate matter. Pollution on allergic disease. HCP Live. The research team linked patients' addresses to the grid-based pollution levels to assess the impact of PM2.5 and O3 pollution exposure on these. HCP Live is a Comprehensive clinical news and information portal that provides physicians with up-to-date specialty and disease-specific resources. Are electric fireplaces worth it? Intelligent living. When you burn wood, you produce smoke and particulate matter. This is a kind of pollution, though burning wood is technically carbon neutral, and it